everyone! I'm sorry that I can't be with you today, but I'm sick, so I have to stay at home. Therefore, I've made this little video where I want to go through the personal essay task that you are going to work with today. And I'm also going to show you some digital tools. So I'm going to show you how you can use your voice to write instead of typing, and how you can get your text read out loud to hear what you've written. So if we start with the task first, I went through this before the fall break, but I want to go through it one more time because that's 2 weeks ago, and there were also some of you who weren't there. So if you go on It's Learning and the course that we have there, you find under resources that I have added the personal essay hand-in, and I've also added the information that I went through last time here. You also find this on OneNote. And so you have to click on this to see the information. So here is the task itself, the personal essay. So it's meant to be personal. So the topic is something important in my life. Write an essay about something that is important to you. For example, a hobby you have, a sport you play or watch, the music you listen to, family, friends, important people in your life, values that are important to you, or so on. And I think it's important to note that it doesn't have to be the most important thing in your life, but it should be of some importance. So typically I get essays about sports. If people like to watch football or play a sport, I often get essays about important people. Music is something that a lot of students choose to write about. Maybe you guys would like to write about fashion or other things that are important to you. You can also choose to write about things such as climate change or social media or so on, but then you have to be very careful because it cannot be a text about climate change as such. It has to be about what climate change means to you. So if you write a text about climate change and it's a personal essay, I expect to hear what are your thoughts on climate change? How afraid are you for the future? What do you do to prevent climate change? And what are the moral dilemmas that you struggle with, and so on and so forth. So not about climate change in general. The length is, when we're finished with the text, should be between 700 and 1,000 words, but do not worry if you don't get to that word count today. You do have to think about this, that I'm going to read your text, but also some of your classmates, because we're going to work with peer feedback, which is called hverandrevurdering in Norwegian. So some of your classmates will read your text, and that means that you have to pick a topic that you're comfortable sharing with other people. So you have to be personal, but not private. You don't have to reveal your deepest and darkest secrets. And the purpose is to inform your readers about yourself so that we can get to know each other better. And then also, of course, to entertain your readers. We have to try and write interesting, entertaining texts. And I've published all the assessment criteria on OneNote, and there you can see all the assessment criteria related to language, for example, vocabulary, grammar, and so on. But here are the 3 things that we're going to focus most on when we write this text. And the first one is to use different techniques to draw your readers in and keep them hooked, which means that you have to have an interesting introduction and you have to make your readers want to read more of your text. Don't worry too much about the introductions today. I'm going to show you next week model introductions and show you different techniques that you can use, so that you shouldn't focus very much on the introduction today. And the second point, use examples and details to underline your points. This is important. And what does that mean? Well, it means, for example, if you choose to write about music, you have to try and be as concrete as possible. So you should definitely name your favorite bands or artists. You should say which songs have made an impact on you, and you can use quotes from the songs. So if there's a song by, I don't know, Beyonce that you really like, you can give an example of some of the lyrics and interpret it and say what this means to you, if you can relate to it, or so on and so forth. If you write about a sport that you play, you should write about, how did you become interested in this sport? Maybe try to describe a game that you remember very well, or if it's football, for example, then you can describe, the feeling that you had when you scored a goal for your team in an important match, or you can describe a match that you saw together with somebody that was really special to you. So examples and details are important. So that's something that you should focus on today. Like choose your topic and then try to come up with as many examples and details that would show the reader why this is an important topic to you. And the last thing that we'll focus on is to write clear topic sentences and coherent paragraphs. This is related to text structure. Don't worry about that today. I'm going to explain in more detail later. So what I want you to focus on today is just to get started writing and produce text. That's the important thing. And we're going to continue to work with it. You're going to get feedback from your fellow students and from me. So you don't have to worry about the text being perfect today, but try to get as much written as possible. And you have to hand in, you can see here, I set the deadline for 12 o'clock tonight, or 23:59. If you hand in, a quarter past 12, that doesn't matter, but you have to hand in today. And as far as you've gotten, and don't hand in one sentence, you have to write more than one sentence. So the point is you cannot go home now and start your weekend. You have to go home and write on your text. And you have to get started. You have to choose a topic and then try to come up with as many details and examples of why this is an important topic to you. So if you have any problems, you can write that in your text that I didn't know how to write this, or so on and so forth. But get started and focus on the second part here. Use examples and details to underline your points. All right, so that was the task itself. Now I wanted to show you these tools, and they are great for people with dyslexia because you can write using your voice, but they can also be useful for all students, and I use these tools myself a lot of the time. So I'm going to show you the thing that is called voice controlled writing first. So here I'm in Word on my computer, and you see when I'm here at home, and then there's this function, dictate. And if I click on this, the first time you do this, it will ask you to have access to your microphone. So now you can see it's on because it's red, and you can see that I'm actually writing with my voice. The important thing is that you have to be very clear in your pronunciation. So you can't mumble, because then the program will fill them. You see, here it says will fill them because I wasn't clear in my pronunciation. You also have to add punctuation and so on afterwards. So I'll turn this off. All right. And then what I can do now is that I can get this read out loud to me, because especially if you have dyslexia, it can be really hard to spot your mistakes. So, and you see already that I have the layout here, the words are quite strung out, and that's because I already have chosen what is called immersive reader, eller engasjerende leser in Norwegian. So then I have to click on view, and here you see something called learning tools. If your word is in Norwegian, this will be engasjerende, not immersive. So if I click on this, now it's no longer on, then you'll see the text as it usually is. But here it's strung out a bit so that it's easier maybe to see. All right, so now I want to get this text read out loud, and I click here. All right, so when you hear your text read out loud, it's much easier often to spot your mistakes. If there's some problem with your sentence structure, or if you've misspelled a word, the pronunciation will be different, and then you realize, that was not the word I meant to write. So then I have to check the pronunciation of that word. So this is a very good tool to use. Now I'm going to close it and I get back to the regular. So view is where you find it. View and learning tool, immersive reader. Yeah, so that's how you do that in Word. You can also do this in Word Online. So, for example, if you cannot find, because on some computer it depends on what kind of, and I think it's different on the Mac, because here if I go to Home, I find the dictate function here, but it's in different places depending on what version of Word you have and whether you use a computer or a Mac. So I'm just going to show you where you can find it some other places as well. So if you go to Office, this is our homepage, and you click on Office 365, you get to this page here, and here you can use Word Online. So if I go to Word and I open a new document, you find the same function here. So I'm going to click on it, and here the first time you do this, you're asked for access. The program wants access to your microphone, and you have to press tilde, otherwise it won't work. So again, I can try and dictate using my voice. Yeah, you see it's a bit slower online, or at least it is right now. But same function. And I'll click it off again. And visning. Engasjerende leser. So yeah, it's Word Online is a bit slower. So here you see it changed sort of the layout and everything. You can control the text here, and you can see what kind of text you would like and whether you would use like this or whatever. And I can play. All right. So that's how you can do it using Word Online. You can also use Google Docs. Then you have to use Chrome as your browser. You cannot use Safari or Edge or anything like that. But if you have a Google account, you have a Gmail, you can use Google Docs, open a document. You have to log on using your Gmail or your Google account, and it's under Verktøy, stemmestyrt skriving. And again, I can try to dictate using my voice, and you see again the words appear magically on my screen. Yeah, and here you see it's not 100%. I said you can see the words appear magically, and it says pear magic red on my screen. So sometimes it gets the words a bit mixed up, and that's why it's so important to use the immersed reader to get the text read out loud. So I'm not sure actually if they have that here. Yeah, there is a function in Google Docs, but I don't remember exactly now how you can get your text read out loud. But use Word, either Word Online or Word on your Mac or your computer to do this. So good luck with this, and I hope that you get to write as much as possible today, and I look forward to seeing what you've written. So when I log on to It's Learning tomorrow morning, I expect there to be text produced. So if you have any questions, send me a message on It's Learning. All right, just a quick afterword. I realized when I watched through the video that you couldn't hear when I used Immersive Reader to get the text read out loud. You couldn't hear anything. I could though. It's just because this program that I use, Screencast-O-Matic, it doesn't record the sound on my computer. It just records my voice. So you will be able to hear the text being read out loud when you use the Immersive Reader, even if that didn't work when I showed it to you here. But I could hear it. It was just not the recording. All right, good luck.